The hackneyed expression to describe the decadence of an age is that the civilians loved money and the soldiers feared death. Niggardliness, sorry, that's the word it says, of gold and of life excites as much as disappropriation as their lavish use is panegyrized. Sorry, I can't say that one either. Less than all things, says a current precept, men must grudge money. It is by riches that wisdom is hindered. Hence, children were brought up with utter disregard of economy. It was considered bad taste to speak of it, and ignorance of the value of different coins was a token of good breeding. Knowledge of numbers was indispensable in the mustering of forces as well as in the distribution of benefices and fiefs, but the counting of money was left to meaner hands. In many feudatories, public finance was administered by a lower kind of samurai or priests. Even thinking Bushi knew well enough that money formed the sinews of war, but he did not think of raising the appreciation of money to a virtue. It is true that thrift was enjoyed by Bushido, but not for economical reasons so much as for the existence of abstinence. Luxury was thought to be the greatest menace to manhood, and the severest simplicity was required of the warrior class, sumptuary laws being enforced in many of the clans. We read that in ancient Rome, the farmers of revenue and other financial agents were gradually raised to the rank of knights, the state thereby showing its appreciation for their service and of the importance of money itself. How closely this was connected to the luxury and avarice of the Romans may be imagined. Not so with the precipices of knighthood. These persisted in systematically regarding finance as something low, low compared with moral and intellectual vocations. Money and the love of it thus being diligently ignored, Bushido itself could long remain free from 1,001 evils of which money is the root. This is sufficient reason for the fact that all of our public men have long been free from corruption. But alas, how fast plutocracy is making its way in our time and our generation. Also, there's a quote from Confucius below. It says, "Learning without thought is labor lost. Thought without learning is perilous." So interesting to talk there about money and the Bushido class and the samurai and what it meant to be a samurai, how you would not carry money, you would not count money. That was below you. But at the same time, there's so much more here. Oh, I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. Sure seems early in the morning today. Be sure to give us a thumbs up down below. My name is Thomas Hunt. Today is June 20th, 2018. And let's just check out what's going on in the Bitcoin today. I used to say, here are today's mad bits. The price of Bitcoin is up 0.24% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,761, a high of 6,776, and a low of 6,572. That's $1 for 14,806 Satoshis as we jump over the other side of the 15,000 Satoshi barrier. We're keeping an eye on today's top story. Tether review claims crypto audit fully backed. But there's a catch. Not a very descriptive headline from CoinDesk. Let's try to find out what's really going on. 6 months after parting ways with its auditor, Tether has finally produced a third-party report proclaiming that its cryptocurrency is fully backed by US dollars. However, Tether was unable to locate an accounting firm to do their report. Therefore, they released an audit, so-called audit, by a law firm. As Tether says, the barriers to getting audited are simply too big to overcome right now, and not just for us. Those barriers include a steep learning curve for auditors in an emerging industry, accounting standards that predate the advent of cryptocurrency, creating uncertainty about how the rules apply, and a resulting need for auditors to exercise judgment, which is anathema to a lot of large accounting firms. As a CPA, I understand that. Interesting. So they released a lawyer firm, former federal judges, a major law firm which has released the reserve report. However, as it says right here, The FSS didn't tell Tether the account balances had received from the bank on June 1st when it asked the company for sworn statements certifying the amount of USDT on that tape. So basically, they're just confirming it to a single day. As it says here below, FSS has not performed any procedures or made any conclusions for the activity prior to or subsequent to June 1st, 2018 close of business. So it sounds like the law firm is vouching for them on June the 1st. I'm not sure that other days are included. It also seems like they cannot confirm that the account is held by Tether. As it says here, for example, it said that the account where the cash is held is in the name of a trustee and that it could not vouch that Tether had any enforceable agreement with the trustee. So someone is holding Tether's money. We don't know who it is, and we know that Tether doesn't directly control them. So Friedman was supposed to produce a full audit, but the relationship with the firm had dissolved. Not sure about this. This may be the positive news that's helping drive up the price of Bitcoin, or it may be just another temporary pump. Yesterday, we covered the news that BitThumb was hacked for $30 million in cryptocurrencies after a security update went wrong. Today, Whale Panda reports that BitThumb is allegedly paying 0.1 to move zero point 0.4 Bitcoin to one of their cold storage addresses, with 432 inputs and one output. It smells like desperation, or the hacker is still cleaning out the wallets and doesn't care how much it costs. This is not normal behavior. They're burning money. And this is also what we see if we look at the mempool this morning. The Bitcoin mempool is suddenly very full. And the rise of the transaction cost is, as you can see on the right, incredibly high. A lot of people, or perhaps just the BitThumb exchange, or maybe even the hacker, are moving their money this morning. Could also be people FOMOing back into the market, sending their Bitcoin to the exchanges, although we won't know until later. We've got exciting news from Amsterdam, where the Amsterdam airport now has a Bitcoin ATM as part of a 6-month pilot. In the statement, it says, with the Bitcoin ATM, we hope to serve travelers by letting them easily exchange local euros for global Bitcoin. Amazing. Sounds like a great deal. Check it out in the Amsterdam airport soon. 90% of the coins from 2014 failed. They're no longer traded. None are used. Proof of work networks stopped or abandoned. They're delisted. It's over. So once again, a reminder that there is history before you got here. It is worth picking up a book or an old website and reading about Megacoin and WorldCoin and Earthcoin and TerraCoin and Feathercoin and all of the other early coins that are generally no longer around with us. Some are still with us, mainly as zombie versions of their old selves. However, that could never happen to the top altcoins today. They'll be with us forever. Everything is fine. Comcast will become one of the world's most indebted companies if it buys Fox. That's not the headline I wanted. I wanted the headline that says that Disney has outbid Comcast in the war for Fox at $71 billion, above Comcast's bid of $65 billion. Not sure where that story went. But as Charlie Lee says, for some reason, this talking about Tron, there's a cryptocurrency called Tron. They're in the top 10, and they're buying whatever's left of BitTorrent, the assets, but not Bram Cohen, the creator of BitTorrent. He's working on his own crypto coin. But like Charlie Lee says, for some reason, this reminds me of the time when AOL bought Time Warner, because it really is Tron BitTorrent now. You can't see me roll my eyes, but I'm rolling them. And we've got an exciting announcement about the Mythos public beta, the easiest way to manage Bitcoin as a team. And we're going to be talking with the creator and the CEO of Mythos later today, right here on the World Crypto Network, around 11 a.m. Pacific time. And it sounds like some great software. Basically, you can manage a multi-sig. You can add and remove partners, aggregate your Bitcoin income. And this is all built on Blockstack, which is on top of the Bitcoin network. I was saying the wrong one when I said Rootstock. I knew it, but I just confused Blockstack and Rootstock because they have the same end of their name or something like that. They're kind of similar. I'm not sure. The price of Bitcoin is $6,769. We're keeping an eye on it. It's been bouncing back up, but still not breaking this 6,800 level, not breaking it. We've got a question in the chat. After you send crypto to your Trezor, do you need to keep your Trezor plugged in until the transaction is confirmed? No, you don't. It's just like any other Bitcoin address. Imagine that you're sending to your padlock on the internet. Once you have the address of your padlock, you can go ahead and send it. You can unplug the Trezor, and your padlock will still be out there. The address will still be there, even if you're not connected. The address just collects money. So it should be fun. Excellent question, though. Please keep the questions coming. A lot of people don't know how to use this, and they have really simple questions that we can answer pretty quickly. And glad to do that. Mythos spelling, it's mist host. So mist host. I don't know. I'll get him to tell me how to say it right. I'm not great at saying things right, but there's a Medium article, and we'll definitely be talking about this later. So get your questions ready. We'll have lots of time to talk to Justin, and he's going to do a little demo for us. I've seen this work a little bit. It's very cool. It doesn't require a middleman. So basically, if you had a company on the internet, like a software company, and maybe you guys don't even live in the same country, maybe you've never met each other, but you want to manage a little bit of money together, say some donations or something like that, you could use this software to decide where to send it. So if you send it to someone and everyone agrees, then it gets sent. If you send it to someone and no one agrees, then it doesn't get sent. So it's very cool. And we'll talk more about that at 11 o'clock. Probably we'll have a break. This show will end, and then that show will start a little bit sooner. I'll probably take a break in the middle there. Coming up on Thursday in BitcoinLasVegas.org, we've got the Bitcoin Las Vegas meetup. We're meeting at Rustica Pizza on Tropicana Avenue, and we're up to 7 RSVPs. Very cool. As you guys know, though, on Meetup, RSVP really means 50-50 chance I'll be there. So we're hoping for 3, maybe 3.5 people. I don't know what we do with the other extra half person, but they would, of course, always be welcome. And we're up to 73 members. You can join us now at bitcoinlasvegas.org. Also coming up later today at 8 p.m. GMT, not sure when that is, English time, we've got Shem Booth Spain with Safedine Amos, the author of the Bitcoin Standard. Be sure to tune in and get your questions ready for Shem Booth Spain and Safedine. Very cool stuff. As always, you could donate right now to the QR code on your screen. Colonel Swan Jr. has already donated $2 in the chat. Thanks so much. Shout out. And we're going to take a check of our donations. Yesterday, or actually today already, we received a donation of 0.00074,205. Thanks so much for your support. Also, you could subscribe to the Patreon. We're up to 86 patrons on the Mad Bitcoins Patreon and 22 patrons on the World Crypto Network Patreon. Remember, you can subscribe at $2 a month, $5 a month. Pay what you like. So he says, can you explain, Colonel Swan has a question. He says, could you please explain what do you mean when talk about the price of Bitcoin and refer to the Satoshi barrier? Well, Satoshi is a 8 digits down in Bitcoin. So 7 zeros and a 1 is a Satoshi. So normally we measure the price of Bitcoin in dollars to Bitcoin. So $6,769 would get you 1 Bitcoin. Right here, though, what we're trying to say is how much would $1 get you in Satoshis? So $1 would get you 14,000 Satoshis. As it says here, that's a 0.00014,780. So that's 14,000 Satoshis. As far as the barrier, we're just looking at round numbers here. So if it breaks 15,000, 10,000, or 5,000, I'm going to call that a round number barrier. And this happens a lot in the general markets. A lot of us were waiting for Bitcoin to truly break $20,000. It didn't. It went to like 19.5. It's important to keep in mind, people do key on these large round numbers. So if you're a trader and you're looking to sell, you might want to sell at 14.8 instead of 15 because you might never reach 15. So yeah, it's not a real barrier, not much of a real thing. But as you can see, it's just a different way of counting Bitcoin. So we could say $6,000 a Bitcoin, or we could say 14,000 Satoshis for $1. So, what's interesting for us, for those who've been watching the show for a while, we started tracking the Satoshi price at around 22,000 Satoshis for dollar. Then we saw it fall all the way to 5,000 Satoshis for dollar, and then it creeped all the way back up. So it's been pretty frustrating watching this chart. But you guys know that. You're out there in the chat and you know what's going on. But this isn't just about me. This is Bitcoin Talk Show. So let's go ahead and open up the phone lines. If you'd like to call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, we'd be happy to take your call. Let us know what you think about Bitcoin. Are we out of the woods? I know a lot of people are using this as a reason to be bearish or a reason to be bullish, and you got to keep your eye on it and see what you think. We are bouncing up again. We did not break 6,800. And if you look on a longer scale, the largest volume was this sell that went to 6120. We don't seem to have any volume approaching the size of this sell. So we're keeping an eye on that. Drinking my tea. Then each time Bitcoin raises the news, an exchange hack appears. Sure, an exchange hack seems possible. I mean, I don't know. These happen all the time. I don't think they were waiting for the price to go down or up to release the hack news. I just think it's very hard to build a system that attaches to Bitcoin and holds the Bitcoin properly. And I think a lot of people have done this and they're not capable of doing that, which means that they set up a system that will fail. So I do expect more exchanges to be hacked. And I expect people to continue to think that Bitcoin is, not safe and all these things and blah blah. But it's these exchanges that aren't safe. Bitcoin itself, the protocol works fine, sends one direction, stays in your wallet if you secure it. Trezor and a ledger, get an offline wallet. That's the way to go. So they're talking in the chat. They say, could it be an inside job? No one knows. Certainly, we don't have any information on this. But one of the problems is that you're generally trusting hackers. You're generally trusting programmers. And sometimes they're smarter than you. And sometimes they also have no ethics. So if you have a smart programmer with no ethics, maybe two or three of them, it's not very difficult to imagine that they stole $30 million from your exchange. I don't know anything about the programmers at BitThumb. I don't know them personally or anything. So it's ridiculous to say this, but it is entirely possible that any of these exchanges could be inside jobs. They could be orchestrated by the leaders, orchestrated by the people below. One random person just wants some money. We don't know. And that's once again why you don't use these trusted third parties. If you use a trusted third party to hold your coin, you're trusting them. So that's fine for a short-term transaction. You're going to go log in, trade some Bitcoin for Litecoin, pull the Litecoin off the exchange. Good, good. If you're a trader and you just need your money on the exchange because you got to move it, you're taking a risk. Every night you sleep on an exchange is a night where you could wake up and find out BitThumb's hacked for $30 million and it's frozen. All those kinds of things. You just have to take your chance and gauge your own risk. Like I've been saying, the Trezors and the Ledgers now store a bunch of altcoins. So if you want to transfer them over, you could do that as well. They're also talking about the Brave browser in chat. Sure, I like the Brave browser. I think in a lot of ways help come up with some of their ideas. So I can't complain. But we had a project years ago. I'm going to try to bring it up here on the screen. It was called protip.is. And you can check that out for yourself at the website, protip.is. And what ProTip is it's a Chrome plugin for your Chrome browser. And what ProTip does is it monitors the websites that you visit for a Bitcoin address. If they find a Bitcoin address at the bottom, they highlight the Bitcoin address and they send money to that address every week based upon your allowance. So if you set it up for $10 a week, it will donate $10 a week to any of your top 10 websites that you visit. This application is open source and free, was produced by a $15,000 donation by the audience, which we told them we would use to write this program, and then we did. As you can see, this program has a subscription interface as well. You could subscribe to addresses and donate as much or as little as you want to that address each month. And ProTip also uses batching. Written years before the scaling debate, ProTip uses batching to send out the addresses to save you on fees. There was a bit of a we kinda had to stop promoting pro tip during the, fee raise. We didn't have a solution to lowering the fees. We would like to make it go Lightning Network. We don't have any programmers right now, but if you would like to check out pro tip, it's on GitHub. It's open source, and you can download it and improve it. You could add Lightning Network to it. We'd be glad to, publish your commit or your upgrades to pro tip. But check out pro tip at protip.is. And we made pro tip on $15,000. We didn't raise any tokens. We didn't have any massive token sales. We don't owe anyone millions of dollars. You can use it right now. It's free and open source. And you don't have to leave your browser. My problem with Brave has always been a simple one. How are you going to keep up with Google Chrome? Google Chrome is so fast and so regularly updated and regularly hacked and broken. So I think I'd have a real problem trusting someone other than Google just to get software like ProTip that I could already get for free at protip.is. So the other problem with Brave is that they offered this very strange idea to replace advertising, to change the web pages that they are giving to you. This may or may not be legal. They don't own those web pages. They're now presenting them to you in a different manner. That sounds a lot like ownership. So I don't know how that's going to turn out for them. I think they overcomplicated their system by adding in the ad blocking and removal features. Although I do run an ad blocker, I just think they made their they can't transform the web pages. They're going to lose. So, but if you like Brave, that's cool. You can check it out wherever you get Brave browser and enjoy it. It was a cool project. So let's see other things in the news today. If you have a call, you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. You could even call us and tell us how good you think Brave browser is. Although I won't hold my breath. Like everything, Brave everything that has a token, you can be a bag holder for Brave browser. You can go buy some, then you can go around promoting it, telling everyone how great it is, and, we'll see how that works out for you. But yeah, that does seem to happen often. Everyone gets a bag, and then suddenly they have to tell you about how great their bag is. We're keeping track of the price of Bitcoin, which is 6,758. Many people are feeling bullish. It might go up. We don't know. Keeping an eye on it. Did bounce all the way down to 6120 before recovering to 6709, falling again to 63, 62, 6325, back to 60, 6591, back to 64, 64. Then the jump out to 68, back to 66, 68 again, back to 65, and now back to 67, 66 in that range. Keeping an eye on it. Oh, switched over to Brave for a week and a half. Well, just wait until the security update comes out. And again, if you're going to use Bitcoin in your web browser, you want to use the most secure web browser. Somebody was all down on me for using Apple phone in the comments instead of an Android. But remember, Apple has that walled garden of an app store. The App Store and Apple's app are less likely to steal from you than the apps in Google's App Store, where they're just kind of anything can go, and they just launch anything. So I keep an eye on that. The person in the chat says they only use Chrome to move crypto around. They trust Brave, they enjoy it for the ad blocking and the other features, but when it comes down to it, they make a good choice. You got to use a safe browser to move that money around. It's a very important thing. So keep an eye on that. But it's early morning out here in Las Vegas. Big says he used Brave for about an hour, and it wasn't for him. It's very tough to leave Chrome. I remember X and Firebird and all the names it had before for a long time. And I like the open source aspects. I like the plugin system a lot. I thought that was really good, and I liked it. I was in it, but then Chrome was faster. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, Thomas. Good morning. This is Mustafa. I'm calling you from Missouri.
All right, Mustafa from Missouri on the road. What are you thinking
On the
about
road
Bitcoin
again.
today? Go ahead.
Hello.
What are you thinking about Bitcoin today, Mustafa?
Well, I've been listening to your shows. I actually appreciate you doing the shows twice a day, man. That's awesome. Getting a little extra more exposure. Now I can tell. I'm originally Egyptian. I don't know if I ever mentioned that, but I have a lot of friends over there, and there are different time zones and stuff. And I'm always trying to get them into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the different time zone was always pretty difficult for me to get them to listen to your stuff live.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty nice that you're doing the day and the night shows now, so they can listen to it and get all the info live. You know,
Thanks,
and
man.
you were just talking about browsers, about the Brave browser
Mm-hmm.
specifically. And I've been using the Brave browser actually, and it seems like it's working pretty good for me. I only got into using it when I was first introduced to CryptoKitties,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was saying that using the MetaMask plugin on on Google Chrome wasn't like as safe as
Mm.
everybody else was saying, and it kept crashing with me. So they recommended Brave, and I've been using Brave for whenever I do anything with CryptoKitties, and exclusively. I don't really use it for anything else, and it works pretty good.
Nice.
No
Yeah,
complaints.
I think it's okay, and I've tried it a few times. I like the ad blocking idea. I think that's a good idea, especially on the mobile. A lot of mobile browsers don't have an ad blocker, so it's good to have that option. I just think in the long term, security wise, Google Chrome's going to lap them. I mean, I root for them. I think they're kind of the little engine that could. They have a cool browser and a cool idea and a very questionable advertising policy and all that. But yeah, I just long term, I stick with Google.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. I'm pretty sure that if the opportunity is there for Google to take over, they won't hesitate.
Hmm. Well, we've seen it too with Apple. They had a variety of third-party softwares that used to exist, and Apple, every new update, they keep eating another third-party software. The one that pissed me off recently was there's a program called Flux that just kind of converts the colors on your screen at nighttime from blue to orange to make it easier to sleep. And it's been a great program for years, and they're a little itty bitty company. Apple could have bought them for nothing. Just could have used their software, given them respect for pioneering this idea. Instead, they just copied it and they call it night mode or dark mode or something. And no one installs Flux anymore because you can use the built-in one. And this kind of keeps happening with Apple and Twitter and Facebook, these other platforms where they let you
Right.
have the software and then
A
they,
Samsung phone, and I have that same option. It's just called a blue light filter, which I guess is what you're saying, right?
Yep, definitely. It's a cool option, and yeah, everyone's adopted it now. But it's funny because at first these are third-party software, and I used to have to jailbreak my iPhone to get two things. I wanted Flux with the colors, and I wanted folders to put my apps in. And it was very early in the iPhone software, and they didn't have that yet. And that's worth jailbreaking for, in my opinion. So.
Right. Yeah, I remember jailbreaking the first iPhone that ever came out just so we can share the music.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, it's very strange when the iPhone and the iPods all came out. You'd have all this music on your phone or your drive. You'd go to your friend's house, you'd plug it in, and you couldn't share it with them. And it was such a
Because
disappointment, right?
I've never had an iPhone. I mean, I got an Apple laptop now just for security or whatever, but
Mhm.
I was always against Apple, always against the iPhones, and I had a Zune back in the
Mm.
day, and like things don't even exist now. But I would always like go around with my friends and be like, oh, look at this, I got all the new albums, I got Tupac's new album or whatever. You got to go pay for it. I can't even share it with you if you want it, and then the jailbreak came about. Um, but speaking of, let's talk a little bit more about Bitcoin. I'm sure your audience doesn't care that I had a Zune.
I'm sure they're all asking themselves, did you get the brown one?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I was just calling, talk about, man, there was something you were talking about last night that really sparked my interest. But I was watching your show late. I wasn't watching the live feed, so I couldn't call in.
Mm-hmm.
But you were saying something. Damn, I lost it, man. I completely lost it.
No worries,
It
man. We
was,
were on fire
uh,
last
you
night.
were
We had
talking
a
to what
call after
from like
call.
church or something. But yeah, let me just kind of think about it. If I remember, I'll call you back. I'm sure you got other people wanting to call in.
Well, thanks, Mustafa, for the call, and give us a call anytime. Best of luck with that Zune.
All right. Yeah, thanks, man. For sure.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Talk to you
Bye-bye.
later. And you can give us a call now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. And remember, you can install Skype for free. You just need to create an account. You can add the World Crypto Network for free, and you can call us for free anywhere in the world. It's pretty cool. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Rice Crypto calling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Is this Mad Bitcoins?
This is. How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. I wanted to call in real quick because just recently, about 2.5 weeks ago, was brought on by Morgan Rockwell as the Chief Marketing Officer for Bitcointopia.
Oh, yeah? How's that going?
It's going great, man. So, I mean, I just kind of wanted to, just touch base and like thank you for mentioning the project the other day on the show. And wanted to basically kind of let everybody know that like we're in phase 1 of building Bitcointopia. We're doing a survey of the land this week, and by beginning to mid-September, we plan to have 5 model home areas set up that's going to be on concrete slabs, connected by sidewalks, and fully functional, so that we can be bringing out potential partners and partners who we've spoken with, and look at bringing in some outside investors so that we can actually take this thing to a completely different level. And this isn't something that Morgan's doing alone. He's got a team involved, and we're all involved in trying to make this vision happen. So whereas some things in the past that he's done maybe had not come to fruition, this is a situation that there's a team involved. It's not just him. And even though he started it, and so if something does end up happening with his court case that doesn't go well or expect it, the project will continue on because this is a vision of a company of more than one person now. So I just want to put that out there, and I'll definitely get back in touch with you and let you know about some updates, and hopefully maybe we could do some collaborating. I have a YouTube channel myself, Rice Crypto, and I'm trying to build up my audience as well. So I just figured this would be an opportunity for me to kind of introduce myself on this level, talk a little bit about the progress of what's happening, and all that good stuff, and give you a shout out for talking about our project.
Well, sure. And that's great to hear that you guys have a plan in case something goes wrong with Morgan's trial. I am, personally concerned for him. It's a very hairy situation, and I hope he gets out of it all right. But it's good to hear there's other people working on the project, and hopefully that you have some other and hopefully large scale investors for this project. Just a quick recap for people at home. How would you describe the Bitcointopia project in 30 seconds or a minute here? Go ahead.
Okay, well, that's actually really probably one of the most difficult questions I've been asked in a while. But the basic idea is that we want to create a land, a community, like a city that would be kind of reminiscent of Disney's Tomorrowland, a city that embraces technology while at the same time embracing Bitcoin, an opportunity to be able to showcase and display all the different innovators and creators, and a place to have people to collaborate. The other thing that really spawns this is the original vision of Walt Disney's Epcot, which never actually got to be complete because he died about 2 months after his presentation. And the original idea with Epcot, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, was a place that people would live, that businesses would be at. So it would be like its own economic system and be almost a blueprint for some of the ideas of how cities can be in the future by incorporating things like blockchain-based voting, having a decentralized community, and things to that effect. And then, there's some other aspects that come into play, but to simplify it, that would be the easiest way, is just having a cryptocurrency version of Tomorrowland, a place where we can have like the community actually having a physical place to call home for Bitcoin.
Well, that's an interesting idea. I especially like that you mentioned Walt Disney and Epcot Center. I don't know if you know, but Disney actually had apartments in Disneyland. He could stay there. I think it was near Club 31 or in the New Orleans sector, but he could, or even on Main Street, I think. But he could just live there, and he could live in Disneyland. So
Yeah,
that's a cool
see, like
idea.
the whole idea with the Florida project was it wasn't supposed to overtake and be what California was. I mean, there was the idea of having a theme park, but it was supposed to be more of a future community. And like, if you go on YouTube or Google anything about the original Epcot presentation, I encourage people to check it out, because this is something that I wasn't aware of. I'm not a huge Disney fan per se, but when I learned about the original idea of what Walt was trying to do with Epcot, it was very, very innovating. And at the same time, it's really sad that that idea never actually saw fruition. So, I mean, it's a big uphill battle, but he's almost set a template for us to be able to use. And we're going to kind of go with some of those ideas.
All right. So it says in the chat, I have to ask you some hard questions. How much can people invest for at Bitcointopia?
Well, people can go to our website, bitcointopia.org, and it has all the land prices on there currently. I don't know everything off the top of my head. I know 1 acre is about 0.5 Bitcoin. So right now we've got most of our residential spots covered for phases 1, 2, and 3. We're looking for a couple more businesses that believe in our vision, that want to purchase land. So we've got some 10-acre and 25-acre locations, some plots within phase 2 and phase 3 of Bitcointopia. So we encourage businesses to reach out to us. You can contact us via our website, on Twitter. I'm personally at Bitcointopia CMO or at Rice Crypto on Twitter. And if anybody's interested in contacting us about purchasing land, those are the things that are going to be able to help us. Now, we know that we're going to have a hard time doing a lot of that with businesses until we're able to show some physical evidence, which again kind of goes back to the 5 model home area that we plan to have sometime between the beginning and mid-September of this year.
All right. And Bitcointopia is located in Elko, Nevada. It's near the Utah border of Nevada. Where's the nearest airport?
I believe there's an airport there in Elko, if I'm not mistaken, from what Morgan has told me. Now, I live in North Carolina. I'm going to be relocating to Vegas by mid-August. And then
Hey, Vegas, join the Bitcoin meetup, man. Hope to see you here.
Yeah, well, I look forward to meeting you, Vortex, and a couple of other dudes. There's a lot that I want to talk about, network with people. So, and that was another reason why I wanted to reach out to you, because I know that you guys know Morgan, and I know you guys have a little bit of history. And I wanted to give a little bit of reassurance to the community that there was more people involved in this, and that this is going to happen one way or another.
Well, it does sound great, because I do like Morgan's ideas. I just think he might be more of a, mad scientist out at the front, not necessarily like a nuts and bolts businessman. So I'm glad if you guys are helping him out
That's where
on
having a
that
team, I
side.
think, is going to come into play and make this a different situation than what he's had in the past. I mean, I know he's had some people he's worked with and collaborated with, but not to the extent of where we're at now and where we're going to be going with this. I mean, there's about 6 of us involved full time, and then we have some individuals that are involved on a part-time basis and voluntary basis that are helping us out as well.
All right, sounds very cool. Last question, just really quick. Where's the nearest supermarket?
Actually, in Elko, there's 2 Walmarts. There's a Starbucks. They actually have Civilization. There's a couple McDonald's and things to that effect. And another reason too why we chose Elko, and I know it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but there's a lot of perks for that area. One, we have water, which we can use for a lot of different reasons. We can use for alternate sources of power, and it gives us a water supply that we can utilize, which is not something that you find a lot in Vegas or in Nevada. It's a lot of just dry desert. And then in addition to like where we would be at, we would be strategically located where we could trade with other states. Salt Lake City, it's all Reno, Nevada's close by. Then we've got Indian tribes that we could also be doing trading with, because we plan on having like community farming. We plan on producing goods and services. So we would be able to offer stuff to people in the Elko area, because initially we are going to be following all city and state coding and regulations and everything that we need to do legislative wise to be able to form our own township. And then we plan on stimulating the economy in Elko by bringing in people, hiring local workers to help us out with the construction and some of the utility things. So we plan on kind of giving back to the community that's hopefully going to be helping us out. They seem to be very supportive. So, I know a lot of people want to say some negative things about Morgan, about some of the things maybe that in the past, but that's the reason why I wanted to take the opportunity to call, because you have mentioned some things about Bitcointopia. There's a lot of buzz going on about it. I'm going to be in Denver next Wednesday speaking, doing a presentation on Bitcointopia, and then I'll be at Freedom Fest in Vegas on the 11th through 14th of July, and I'll be meeting with several different people in regards to the project, mainly Jeff Berwick, the Dollar Vigilante, where he's going to be talking to us about some things. So, when this thing gets taken to a completely different level, there's no one's background is going to be able to hurt what we're trying to do with the team that we're trying to put in place with this.
All right. Well, it sounds great. I think it's coming together.
Hired people.
It sounds great. And just give us a call anytime when you have another big update for us.
I will, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And what do you guys think about Bitcointopia? That was a pretty reasonable explanation there. I was impressed to hear that there is a supermarket nearby. It's hard for me to recall Elko. I think I've driven through there a couple of times on my way to Colorado. And as I recall it, it kind of went one of those casinos at the edge of the state line kind of towns. So if you drove from Utah, you'd be like, wow, we're in Elko. We can gamble now. But interesting to hear. Nice to hear they have an airport in Elko, although I think it's kind of a smaller one. We're still kind of talking Reno, Salt Lake City, maybe Vegas to really get an airport near there, which just for me, I like to be near a good airport and a good freeway if I have a choice. Maybe that's a California thing. Jeremy Sager saying in the chat, there might be trouble with Bitcointopia if Berwick is involved. Jeremy saying he might be a Bitcoin Cash guy. Not so sure. A lot of the libertarians, unfortunately, have gone over to Bitcoin Cash. If you will, it's kind of a simpler argument. Oh, we're just going to double the block size. So it seems simple. But if you think of it as weight on an airplane, we're just going to double the weight of the airplane. That seems dangerous. So also, I think long term, if we really want to go back, Berwick might have been involved with, I think it was called Galt's Gulch. And I don't want to be mean to Bitcointopia here, but it was a similar idea. I think it was in Chile or somewhere in South America. And it was a libertarian idea where they could have a land of their own, and they raised a lot of Bitcoin for it. And then they had some personnel problems, and maybe they didn't buy the land. I don't know. There's a lot of questionable things about Galt's Gulch. And they raised big Bitcoin back in the day. So I do like what he had to say about putting a good team around Morgan, bringing in some real investors, and really making a go of the project. Once again, you have to make your own decision about investing your Bitcoin. There's certainly risky investments out there. Everyone's trying to do something, and you have to decide what you want to use your Bitcoin to try to help them to do. So they say there's an interstate freeway at Elko. Yeah, it's the I-80. I've ridden the I-80 all the way from where it starts to Denver, Colorado. So good times on the I-80. And it keeps going too. I thought about going to Kansas or something. Sammy says in the chat, it's hard to know who to trust. And it's almost like a line from X-Files. And or actually Sneakers, the movie, the great Robert Redford movie, the KGB agent guy says as he's dying, if you get out of this car, Marty, you won't know who to trust. And that's why you have to trust no one. That's why you have to make your own decisions. You have to bring in a bunch of information from a bunch of different sources, compare them, weigh the quality of the sources, weigh what they've said in the past, bring all that together, and then make your decision. So it's very big. Uh, there's people in the chat. They're fans of Berwick. Other people do remember Galt's Gulch and Galt's Gulch chili. And it's funny. The libertarians, they hate centralization. They hate the state, but they always try to make their own states. uh, Marshall P says we shouldn't be infighting in the crypto community. Too small for that. I hate to break it to you, man, but the crypto community is almost entirely infighting. Maybe it was different back when it was just Bitcoin, but Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, all of these other things. Yeah, it's everybody's has a bag. Everybody's promoting their bag. The guy in the chat gets it. He says, "Too many secrets, too many secrets." Sneakers is a great movie. Phil Alden Robinson, director of Field of Dreams, a great author as well. I think he wrote those movies. I think he wrote Sneakers. It's just great. Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd, River Phoenix, Sidney Poitier. Just a fantastic spy film. U.S., Soviets, secrets, encryption. Released in like 1995, but very hip even today. A lot of the things they do in Sneakers are great examples of what real hacking is. They go get the trash from this guy's house and they look at his trash and they try to figure out who he is based upon his trash. They hack the bank because they overhear someone stealing the code. These kind of things. They have to break a bunch of security things. They have to plan around it. It's a thoughtful movie. I enjoy the way the characters in that movie think. They seem like real people, and I don't think they'll ever do a sequel. And I don't know that people even remember it, but Sneakers, great movie. Not about shoes. And yeah, people are fighting because there's money involved. During the bear market, we're all at each other's throats. It'll be nicer when the bull comes back. And if you buy Roger Ver's trash, you will know who he is. That is something. If you trust someone and it goes wrong, you generally figured it out. Maybe you didn't figure it out in time to save your money, but you certainly know that things didn't go right. So, all right, it's around 8:38. You could give us a call on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. We are going to try to hang in here a little bit longer. We do have the interview coming up at 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about Mythos, which is a very cool project being built on Blockstack, which is on top of the Bitcoin ecosystem or Bitcoin blockchain or whatever. So Mistos enables teams to collaboratively distribute funds. So very cool. And we're going to talk about that more. They're talking about Sneakers in the chat. A couple of people like me have seen it. Pat Freak says it's an awesome movie and that he loved the sound guy. Yeah, Whistler. Whistler was fantastic in that. And he's a blind gentleman. And I don't know if it's stereotype or not, but he kind of has really good hearing, maybe because he's a blind gentleman. And it's just great to see the way they included him in the hacking and the way that a lot of early hacking was about tones and things on the phone and beeping and the blue box, things like that, the Captain Crunch whistle. You used to be able to hack the phone network whistle with a whistle. It blew at a certain tone that unlocked the phone. And that's why it's such a great thing in the movie that they have Whistler, who's kind of their sound guy. And the way he hacks the world is through sound. And there's a great scene. Maybe you've heard about it. I'm sure I've talked about it before, but there's a great scene where Robert Redford is kidnapped and he's trapped in the back of a car and he's driven all over San Francisco and he has no idea where he is. But the blind guy talks him through it and he works it out and he's like, well, what'd you hear next? And he's like, boom, 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 streams of the concrete and all those kind of things. And then he gets to a cocktail party and they're like, what could that be? And it turns out it's a bunch of geese. So it's a funny movie. It's good stuff. And we're about keeping the show going. If you'd like to give us a call on Skype, We've talked about the major news this morning. The price of Bitcoin is up slightly. Tether claims that they're a fully backed crypto asset, but they had an audit done by a law firm, not an accounting firm. And they claim that it's impossible to get an audit done by an accounting firm because they don't understand cryptocurrency. I'm not sure if I believe that one. That seems pretty questionable. We're following the breaking news that BitThumb has been hacked for $30 million in cryptocurrency, originally dropping the price of the Bitcoin market. We're also keeping a track on the mempool and the transaction fee of Bitcoin, which is up, up, up today. Somebody's moving around a lot of coins. Probably BitThumb, maybe the BitThumb hacker. We're keeping an eye on these stories, as well as the ATM that's been installed at the Amsterdam airport. You can now buy Bitcoin right inside the Amsterdam airport. Little Cobain is reminding us that 90% of the coins from 2014 did fail. They're no longer traded, none are used, proof of work networks are stopped, they're delisted or abandoned. Don't forget the past. Don't forget the past. Charlie Lee had a funny joke. He was reminding us that the Tron buying BitTorrent is a lot like when AOL bought Time Warner. And Andy Hoffman was on the other day. We were talking about that, and we were saying that it might be the worst merger in corporate history. A few years ago, they even took the name AOL off of the company. It used to be AOL Time Warner, if you can imagine that. And of course, even Time Warner itself is a merger between Time Magazine and Warner Brothers Studios. There used to be so many media companies, and now there are so few. The price of Bitcoin is 6,759. They're saying in the chat that it will break 6,800 soon and then go crazy. It does seem like there's a wall around 6,800. We hit 67.95 or so around here. We hit 68.41. Then we hit 67.70, a little higher, 67.80, but we've not significantly broken over 6,800. We are looking for a resumption of the bull market. If we break 68, if we break 7,000, I will give it to you. It's a resumption of the bull market. There is still a chance that we go down further. I'm still holding on the sidelines, just watching this crazy thing go. I do have a percentage in and I have a percentage out. And that's what I'm suggesting to everyone is to make their own decisions. Try not to go 100% in or all the way out. Try to go 90-10, 80-20, 70-30. You have options, you have choices. And if you hedge a little bit like that, you reduce your risk. So very cool stuff. Check out the Bitcoin Las Vegas meetup just tomorrow at Rustica Pizza. We've got Shembu Spain coming up later today with an interview with Safedine, the author of The Bitcoin Standard. And you can donate right now to the QR code on your screen. If there aren't any more calls, we're probably going to go to a short reading of my novel. Give you one more chance to call in, World Crypto Network, all one word on Skype. Otherwise, we will be back later with the interview with my friend Justin and talking about misthos. I don't know. I'm sure he'll tell me how to say it properly, and I will practice. So we have 86 patrons supporting the Mad Bitcoins Patreon, 22 patrons supporting the World Crypto Network Patreon, and about my books, To Satoshi with Love. Let's people have requested that we do a cover with a pink alien on it. And I'm open to this, but I'm not a good artist. I'm not good at drawing. So I'm not the person to do this. So if you're out there and you're good at drawing, maybe kind of a cartoony style, like a comic book or a comic strip, something with a bald pink alien wearing a trench coat. Maybe we could work together on this even. You could reenact several of the scenes from the book. I could put the illustrations in the book. It's not a very long book. I think some illustrations would help. Maybe it would kind of be like Alice in Wonderland when he collaborated with, I want to say Tenel or Teniel or something like that. Great guy, great writers. And then also like Hunter S. Thompson when he worked with Ralph Steadman. Not that we need necessarily Stedman style art for this, but just the idea of a collaboration, and maybe there could be more. So if you're an illustrator out there looking for a fun project, not really into money, maybe more into getting your word out, getting your name out there, or doing something good for the community. And I know a lot of designers don't do that, and you don't work for free, and I respect that. But if you do want to, shoot me a DM on Twitter at MadBitcoins, and I'd be glad to work with you, even just on the cover or on a full series of illustrations. I think it would be fun. So, quick reminder of what the book's about. Satoshi Nakamoto, a pink space alien, has crashed his spaceship into John Front's house. His friend Mara, who works at Chain River, a big Bitcoin company, doesn't believe that he's Satoshi Nakamoto, even though he's proven it to her on a clean laptop. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has just received word that he's supposed to stop Bitcoin, and he's now getting involved. So, just a little bit more of To Satoshi with love. There's a new scourge threatening America, and I can barely believe it. We found out just in time. The election was almost upon us, ladies and gentlemen, but I can assure you we have been saved. My people, they're the best people in the world, and they keep their eyes on issues, let me tell you, let me assure you. They are keeping a watch on this world, and they have found the next major problem. They have found it, and let me tell you, it's a problem, and only the kind of problem that you and I can solve. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, of this new scourge that comes from the internet. I know you're not surprised. You say to yourself, there really is no other place it could come from, but this is indeed where it comes from. This new scourge isn't Islamism or illegal immigration, although those are major issues in this campaign, and I assure you that my campaign will deal with them as well. But this new danger, it seems innocent at first. It even has a silly name, so you'll laugh at it and ignore it. This new danger is called Bitcoin. Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even say its name without sneering. Do you see my upper lip? It just does this on its own. I can't control it. Can't be stopped. Anger, ladies and gentlemen. I hate it. I hate this Bitcoin. That's how bad it is. This Bitcoin, it helps our enemies. It helps them move money without being tracked, funds their operation. That's how bad. That's how bad it is. Funds terrorists, Bitcoin, and it's worse, undermines the banking system. This Bitcoin, this supposed nothing from the internet that we should all ignore. It's so much more than that. It's sinister. Sinister, ladies and gentlemen. This sinister Bitcoin, this monstrous Bitcoin, it spreads. It's like a virus. It's eating up our society. Has to be stopped. No way about it. They use it to buy drugs on the internet. Our children, college students, even younger. No age limits. Any country, any place on the world, you can use this Bitcoin to spend your money without controls. Ladies and gentlemen, these Bitcoiners, they think they can just write code and upend society, but that's not right. You and I know better. We have years of experience and know better than to accept this from them. Those people, those internet people, they think they're better than us. They think they're smarter. They think they invented their own money and on their own and no one cares. Let me tell you, things will be different in the Trump administration. Let me tell you, we will not stop. We will not slow. We will get things done, folks. And let me tell you, we will break Bitcoin. We'd been trapped in the room for hours by then. My threats to call room service were constantly being ignored. Mara was really putting Satoshi through his paces. She pretty much made him explain the entire Bitcoin stack from start to finish on the whiteboard. And now they were arguing over some obscure algorithm she was supposed to be writing for work that I didn't even really understand. I think that's what it was about, though, this algorithm. Well, if you're so impressive, you solve it, Mara said. Just because I'm the creator of Bitcoin doesn't mean that I have all knowledge or I can just snap my fingers and write code. I'm not so sure. I think you can do it. I think you're holding back. Satoshi grumbled and looked at the computer over his shoulder. I wrote the original software years ago. It's enough to me that I can manage to maintain it. Do you have any idea the kind of spaghetti string pull requests I get from so-called core developers like yourself? You couldn't do my job in a million years. What job? You haven't updated Bitcoin in 5 years. No one even cares about you anymore. They've moved on. There are new core developers now, better ones. Even if you are who you say you are, we don't need you. We'd be better off without you. Don't need me, eh? Don't you wish that was true? Satoshi spun around and pushed a few keystrokes. I didn't solve your problem specifically because that's actually not the right direction to go. Wrong branch. barking up the wrong tree, you see. He typed a few more commands and executed his program. It ran. Mara was taken aback. Wait a minute. How'd you do that? The pink alien turned to her and extended his hand. My name is Satoshi Nakamoto. And that's about it for this quick reading. We'll be back in a few hours with the interview with Justin and Mistos. Later in the day, we've got Shem Booth Spain interviewing Safety and Emos, the Bitcoin standard, right here on the World Crypto Network. Be sure to subscribe down below. Give us a thumbs up and a share. Until next time, bye-bye.